As the results are up and there's a lot of excitement in the air, there's a lot of motivation oozing up in the atmosphere. With the same motivation, let's start today's session. Hello everyone. Well, what we have today for you? We are going to discuss why you should choose anthropology as your optional subject. And for that, we have a highly esteemed faculty member with us today, Mr. Kartic Godavarthy sir. He is the Faculty of Optional Anthropology at Vajiram and Ravi, and he is going to answer all of your queries, all of your questions today. And at the end, I promise you'll be confident enough to choose your optional subject, as anthropology is a subject that has a unique methodology, is a dynamic subject, and definitely needs a specialization. And all of this just makes a subject which needs guidance throughout this whole journey. Not taking much of your time, I would like to request Kartik sir to please enlighten the students. Sir.
Good evening and namaskar, everyone. Thanks, Pooja. My name is Kartic Godavarthy, and I am the Faculty of Anthropology at Vajiram and Ravi. I have been involved in mentoring students for civil services for the last 30 years. It's more than 3 decades, actually. I'm a gold medalist in anthropology. I'm an alumnus of the Central University of Hyderabad. And as far as I remember, right from the time I passed out of my university, I have been mentoring thousands of aspirants for civil services. I have seen the evolution of anthropology over these 3 decades. And I have understood the nuts and bolts and the nuances of this examination, and especially this particular subject. So I would like to make use of a small presentation that will guide you through what I'm going to share with you today. I have organized this particular presentation of today's webinar into the following heads. Let me first discuss with you very briefly about what constitutes anthropology. Despite the fact that this is one of the most preferred subjects for the civil service examinations, I understand that many students have no idea as to what is the discipline, what is the scope of the subject, and what is the syllabus that has been mentioned by the UPSC for this examination in anthropology. I will also give you certain points as to what are the advantages of taking anthropology as your optional. And of course, I will also try to identify for you the areas that overlap with general studies and, of course, the general essay. And I will also explain to you about the methodology that we adopt at Vajiram and Ravi to make your mentoring, coaching, and guidance seamless. So let me first take you to what exactly is anthropology. Anthropology is the term anthropology is a Greek word derived from two terms, anthropos and logos, which means which translates to the science of humanity or the study of man. Anthropos in Greek means man or the human. And anthropology is considered to be one of the most holistic disciplines that deal with man. It is considered to be the most comprehensive of all the disciplines that deal with mankind. Anthropology is not the only science that discusses about humanity and the human nature. There are many life sciences that deal with man. There are many humanities and, of course, all the social science disciplines that touch upon one or the other aspect of the human behavior. But anthropology is distinct and different from all the sciences is because it encompasses in its scope almost everything that is touched upon by all the other sciences. It actually blends in its methodology both the life sciences, the social sciences, and of course the humanities too. And we normally refer to anthropology as a four-field method because we touch upon four distinctive aspects of humanity. One is the socio-cultural behavior, which we normally refer to as socio-cultural anthropology, the biological nature of man, because man is, after all, an animal, and we are guided and guarded by the same principles of nature that influence the other life forms on earth, and that we call as physical or biological anthropology. And then we also have archaeology, which goes into reconstructing the extinct cultures. And finally, linguistic anthropology that deals with the human language and communication. So these four major disciplines together constitute what is called as anthropology. There are hundreds and hundreds of subspecializations, and these fall under the general umbrella of the holistic, historical, and comparative study of mankind. That is anthropology in a nutshell for you. And when it comes to the scope of anthropology for your UPSC syllabus, like every other optional papers, your subject is also divided into two papers, paper 1 and paper 2. We, for our academic convenience, can divide paper 1 broadly into socio-cultural anthropology and physical anthropology, and we have one chapter each in linguistic and archaeology. And paper 2 is to do with anthropology of India, and that's the reason why we refer to it as Indian anthropology. Let me take you through the syllabus very briefly. The socio-cultural anthropology part of paper 1 begins with, of course, the meaning and scope and the branches of anthropology. This is the chapter that's going to give you the background as to when, where, why, and how anthropology emerged, the reasons why anthropology emerged despite the fact that there are already many other mature sciences that were already discussing man and mankind. And then we will move on to the basic concepts in society and culture, a topic that will lay the foundation for you to understand the various social science aspects and concepts. And trust me, this is the topic that is going to be enormously helpful for you to understand the various chapters that are lined up even in your general studies. I'm sure most of you come from an engineering or life sciences background, and you must have left behind your social sciences way back in your 10th standard. And we will be picking up from where you have left off in this particular chapter and discuss about the basic concepts like society, community, what do we mean by the word social, and what are the social relationships, and what is it that is distinct about the human social behavior as compared to the other organisms which are also considered to be social organisms. And of course, we will be looking at the comparative study of various social institutions like marriage, family, kinship, religion, the political organization, magic, and of course, economy and economic institutions. And then we will also discuss the human language, now the non-verbal communication, and the various other social and cultural aspects of human communication in a topic that is called as linguistic anthropology. And then there is a little bit of anthropological theory, which talks about how the various anthropologists have been looking at the human culture and the human society from their own distinct and different perspectives. And then we will also look at the nature of anthropological research. Anthropology is considered unique amongst the family of social sciences. And what makes us so unique? What are the methods we use to collect data? And what kind of information we gather is something that we shall be looking at and discussing in the topic on anthropological research methodology. And then, of course, the very important social demography. Demography, I'm sure you know, is the study of human populations and population structures and variations. And we are going to see the nature of human demography threadbare, right from discussing the concepts like fertility and mortality and how they impact the structure of the populations and the growth of the populations. We will also be looking at the Indian examples wherever necessary in order to substantiate the concepts and the theories that have been put forth in the context of demography. And then we will look at what is called as ecological anthropology, where ecology is, a relationship an organism has with its environment. And ecological anthropology talks about how we as humans adapt to our changing environment. An important topic that takes relevance today because of the global discussions on climate change and whatnot. And then we will also look at epidemiology or epidemiological anthropology, which is essentially the study of the distribution of diseases. And this topic has become extremely relevant today in the context of the recent pandemic that has afflicted the humanity, COVID-19. And if you recall, most of the strategies that we have had in order to prevent COVID from infecting us were actually behavioral strategies and social and cultural strategies, some things that we were not attuned to or we are not acclimatized to before. And epidemiological anthropology is all about those behaviors that underlie the distribution and the spread of the human diseases. And this is the topic that has been, in vogue and has been under discussion globally, given the context of the pandemic. And as the World Health Organization says, the other pandemics are already lurking around the corner, and how anthropology can help, prevent these kind of afflictions from affecting us in the future. And then we also have prehistoric archaeology, where we will be looking at the origin of the human cultures, which is something that's common to anthropology and GS, especially history, where we'll be looking at the Paleolithic, Mesolithic, and the Neolithic eras, both globally as well as in India. And at the same time, we look at the various techniques like dating and how we use the various dating technologies in order to establish the approximate timeline that the human cultures have existed in the past. And that constitutes the socio-cultural anthropology in paper one. And then you also have physical anthropology. And this is where we will be looking at the interaction between the human biology and the human behavior. Physical anthropology is strictly not biology. It is biocultural or biosocial anthropology, where we will be picking up the concepts from biology and interpreting them from an anthropological point of view. And I'm sure, like many of you must, have left behind your biology after 10th or even 12th, we will be starting from the very basics. We start from the cell division. We look at what are the chromosomes and DNAs, genes, and proteins. And these are extremely important concepts for you to understand even biotechnology and science and technology topics in your general studies. And then we will be moving on to looking at the basic theories of evolution. You must have studied this again way back in your school, Lamarck, Darwin, and the modern synthetic theory of evolution. And of course, primatology. Primates is that particular group of organisms where the monkeys, apes, and humans belong. And we will be looking at our closest relatives, the monkeys and apes, in this chapter, which lays the foundation for us to understand the human biological evolution. And then we will discuss human genetics, the races, and the biogenetic diversity between the various populations of the world, the human growth and development, and the factors that affect our growth. And of course, anthropology is not just a theoretical discipline, but it also is used enormously in the areas which you are already aware of, but you're not sure that it was anthropology. Like, for example, designing of defense and sports equipment, biomechanical studies which the sports people use or sports persons use in order to, gain even that one extra second when they compete with the others. And forensic anthropology, where we help the courts of law in solving the crimes and identifying, those bodies or those remains whose identities cannot be established. And coming to paper two of anthropology, which we have called Indian anthropology earlier, includes every aspect of the Indian population, the Indian society, and Indian culture. We start off with the demographic profile of India, our population structure, the different types of races, the linguistic classification of the languages in India, India's population growth, population policy, something which is enormously helpful for you, obviously, in your general studies. And then we move into the establishing or talking about the well established traditional Indian concepts like Varna theory, the ashrama system, which are the part and parcel of, the age old Indian civilization, the concept of karma, And the most important topic, which probably constitutes a major chunk of paper 2, is the caste system, which is known as Jati locally in India. We talk about the origin of caste and how the caste system has evolved over hundreds of generations, and what is the contemporary relevance of caste. Caste in politics, caste in economics, and how caste relationships are affecting the modern organizations, and also the implications that the caste system has towards especially in the future, and how it is likely to evolve in the future, and how it is going to structure the Indian society. And then we will also look at the various social and cultural changes that have taken place in the Indian culture from time immemorial, right from talking about the impact and the origin of various religions from within and outside India. We will also look at the impact of the British rule, which we refer to as westernization, Sanskritization, modernization, and we have concepts like great and little traditions, the impact of Panchayat Raj, especially after it became a constitutional structure, and the role of media, that includes the social media, in bringing about social change in India and whatnot. And then we will also look at the rural societies of India. India is called Gramavasini Bharati. That's a sobriquet India has. The real India lives in its villages. The real culture and traditions of India are alive in the Indian villages. And we need to look at these villages as the foundational concepts of Indian civilization. And we will look at the structure of the Indian villages, the traditional rural societies, the uniqueness of India's villages, and of course, the changes that the Indian villages are witnessing, especially in the light of industrialization, the rapid urbanization, and relatively modern globalization and commercialization. And of course, the most important chunk of paper 2 is what we refer to as applied anthropology, where we look at the weaker sections and the vulnerable populations of India. And we look at every one of them very comprehensively, right from the origins, their problems and challenges, deprivations, exclusions, the constitutional provisions, the government programs, and the critical evaluation of these programs. And the vulnerable sections that we will be focusing on include the scheduled castes, the scheduled tribes, the other backward classes or the OBCs, and we will also look at a special class of tribal groups. We are called the particularly vulnerable tribal groups, the denotified nomadic and semi-nomadic communities, and almost every aspect of their social and economic and political lives. And then we will be looking at the tribal problems in a very great detail. That includes the problems of land alienation, poverty and indebtedness, lack of educational infrastructure or low educational achievements, employment and unemployment in tribal areas, their health and nutritional status. And we will be discussing this in a greater detail. We will also be looking at the working of the constitutional programs over the past 7 decades on the tribal lives, and what kind of social changes have happened in their lives as a consequence of these programs. And then we also will be discussing the issues to do with ethnicity, which include regionalism, ethnic conflicts, that include communalism, secularism, and the nature of secularism in India as compared to the way secularism is interpreted in the Western Hemisphere and everything else. So, these are the areas that we will be discussing in both paper 1 and paper 2 of anthropology. And that said, let's look at what anthropology can offer as an optional for civil services. Well, as I have already told you, and I'm sure you are aware, it is one of the most popular optional subjects in the UPSC. And the reason is because this is a very amenable discipline, a very friendly discipline. And irrespective of the academic backgrounds of the students, it is really a very engaging subject which is easy to understand. And the reason why aspirants have been choosing anthropology is also because there is a significant overlap of anthropological topics with GS and SA. I will be touching upon certain specific areas of overlap shortly. And this actually saves a lot of your time. A student of anthropology need not again invest time and resources when you're studying them for general studies. In fact, the students of anthropology write more intellectually stimulating and more mature answers in general studies as a consequence of their training in anthropology. And anthropology also offers a context that is required for critical analysis of your current affairs, be it economics, be it political science or social issues. And it also will provide you with the basic context required for your personality or interview test. And anthropology gives you a nuanced and a holistic understanding of almost all the topics in your general studies and socio-economic areas. And that is something which is very unique. And anthropology adds enormous value to your general studies preparation, as well as the quality of answers you write, and of course, your general essay. And with the right guidance and material, anthropology can be mastered in a very short time. And the reason is because the syllabus is well structured, it is well defined, and you know exactly what you need to prepare and to what extent. And it is high scoring compared to other subjects, especially core humanities, is mainly because of the ease which students can get into, gather that kind of an expertise that is required to master this discipline. The questions are straightforward. The examiner makes it very obvious what he is expecting from you, and there's no confusion whatsoever as to what should be the content that you need to present in the form of the answer. And it's also scientific in nature, and that's one of the things that attracts students from science backgrounds to anthropology, and all that includes engineering too, is because you can use flow charts, you can use illustrations, and this will also enormously save time in your exam when you're actually writing your answers, especially in areas like physical anthropology. Small illustrations can enormously add value to your answers, and that can also actually get you higher scores than the other disciplines. And these are some of the areas that overlap with general studies and general essay directly. The Indian society, unity and diversity and salient features. This is something that we will be discussing throughout our discussions in paper 2. And a student of anthropology is much more equipped than the others in answering any kind of the question in that part of your syllabus in general studies that has to do with the traditional India or the Indian society in general. And we will also be discussing the various philosophical aspects like the karma theory, the varna system that used to exist during the Rigvedic times, and of course, as I told you, a very nuanced and also a threadbare discussion almost about every dimension of the caste system and its economic and political implications, the social evils and whatnot. And we will be also looking at the populations, the associated problems because of the population, and the impact of the population growth, and what do we mean by this demographic dividend, and is it an asset, is it really a dividend or a liability. And we will also be juxtaposing the Indian population with the global models that have been developed to see whether we are going in the same path and the pattern as it was predicted in the past, and what is it that is in store in the future. We will also, as I told you, we'll be looking very intensively at the vulnerable sections. That includes the OBCs, the SCs, the STs, the minorities, and all the welfare programs, the constitutional provisions, the judicial positions regarding the various constitutional aspects. That includes the reservation policies, the implications, and everything else. And of course, the social change in India, that includes not just the change that has been ushered in by the liberalization and privatization, but the contemporary changes that are happening, like globalization, which is actually impacting almost every facet of our existence. And for example, we look at not just the impact of globalization on our economy, but we also look at the impact of globalization on our behavior, on our psychology, globalization on our culture, and how cultural nationalism, social relationships, and everything else is impacted by this new era of globalized world. And we will also be, as I told you, looking at the concepts like communalism. We look at right from its origins in India, the forms of communalism, secularism, regionalism, the ethnic conflicts that have happened in the country in the past and in the contemporary times, and the demand for autonomy and greater self governance in tribal and non tribal areas, and everything else. And the prehistory, especially the Indian prehistory, is common with your history papers in general studies. The Paleolithic, the Mesolithic, the Neolithic, the Indus Valley civilization, the rise of this civilization and the decline, the recent discoveries, is something that is a part and parcel of your anthropology syllabus too. And don't forget physical anthropology. The kind of discussions we have in genetics are more to do with the applied aspects of human genetics. Today, the world is talking about mRNA vaccines. You will be learning the principles of that in anthropology class as a part of our regular discussions. We will be looking at the basic biological concepts and genetics that are enormously helpful for you when you answer questions either in biotechnology or in your general studies, science and technology. So these are some of the areas that are directly, interfacing with your general studies. And almost in all the papers of general studies, including ethics and general essay and personality test, as I told you earlier, anthropology provides you with that kind of the holistic understanding, a nuanced understanding, and a critical thinking that is required to add value to your answers across the board in all the papers of the UPSC examination. And this is the structure of your question paper. This is common to all the other optional subjects as well, paper 1 and paper 2. And each paper is divided into two sections, section A and section B. But whatever may be the papers, there are three principal type of questions you will be asked to write. There are what are called as short notes, which are for 10 marks. And this is the only question for which a word limit is mentioned. You are supposed to write this answers in about 150 words. And then you may have 15 marker questions where your answers will be approximately 200 words, and 20 markers where your answer should be somewhere around 250 words. And using illustrations wherever required, you can in fact write your answers in bullet points or point form, is because anthropology is a blend of both natural as well as social sciences, and getting a control over answer writing with regular practice is not a very difficult proposition. And answer writing requires, first of all, the clarity of thought. This is something that you will achieve through the course of our discussions in our classrooms. And you need to get the right content, which is again provided by us. And you need to master the ability to present your answer within the word limit and within the time allocated for it. And all this, the right content, the word limit, and time management, you need to achieve through good presentation skills. At the same time, your handwriting should be legible and neat, and you need to support your answers with illustrations wherever required. And how can you achieve all this? Well, there are three mantras: practice, practice, and practice. And that is the reason why our methodology at Vajiram and Ravi is not only to give you a conceptual clarity in the way you understand the discipline, but also you need to be prepared for the key deliverable. And the key deliverable in this exam is that answer. All the hard work, all the effort, ultimately is tested on that particular day through your answers. And this is something, as a part and parcel of a pedagogy and a methodology, we make it integral to our coaching and mentoring to you. And this is the methodology that we adopt in anthropology. We have six classes a week, 6 days a week. Each class will be for 2.5 hours. Sometimes you may even have 7 classes a week, depending on the topic. And our classes are interactive, intensive, and immersive. Anthropology is a discipline that deals with ourselves. We are going to discuss about ourselves. In fact, Aristotle said that anthropology is a gossip that revolves around man, and anthropologist is a gossiper who talks about himself. And over a period of 24 weeks, we will be actually discussing about ourselves, our lives, our religions, our fears and phobias, our economies and political institutions. And we essentially try to answer three questions in anthropology: who are we? Where did we come from? And why do we behave the way we do? And the entire syllabus, of course, is oriented towards answering these very three questions about ourselves. So you won't find anything alien or foreign in anthropology class, because you already know everything that we discuss. It's just that we are packaging it in a little more academic way and making it more scientific and objective in our analysis. And our discussions obviously will be at a postgraduate level of the discipline, is because despite the fact that people claim that this is at an undergrad level, trust me, I'm an academically trained anthropologist, a practicing anthropologist. I have been consulting and am consulting with many multilateral organizations, and the levels of the demands of this exam, the level of questions and the way you're supposed to interpret is much beyond undergraduate level. It's at the postgraduate level. And so will be our discussions in the classroom. And of course, discussing the PYQs is essential to our discussions. And we will be looking, you will be having access to all the previous year questions right from the day one. They will be uploaded in your student portal, so that whenever we come to a particular chapter, you will know what is the scope of that particular chapter and what kind of questions have been asked in that chapter before. And as far as the resources are concerned, you will be given 3 volumes of anthropology printed material. And these 3 volumes cover the entire syllabus. But anthropology, as Pooja was mentioning, is a very dynamic discipline. A lot of things happen around the world almost on a daily basis that may have directly or indirectly an implication in anthropology. So, not all of them may be relevant to you, but some of them are, which you may not be able to identify right now at the outset. But as we are proceeding through the syllabus, you will be consuming your news completely in a different way. You will start seeing anthropology everywhere around. And the way you interpret the goings on in the world, the way you interpret the goings on in our own country will be completely different. You will be looking at everything through an anthropological lens. And being such a dynamic discipline, you will be given a lot of handouts, digital handouts, which are PDFs that will be uploaded exclusively for you in the student portal. And that will be covering the current events, that include some case studies that may come up during the course of your preparation. And these will be enormously helpful to illustrate in your answers when you are attempting them in your exam. And no, you don't need to refer to any other sources. What you have and the resources you will have access to is much more than enough for the purpose of this examination. And tests and practice tests, excuse me, are a regular feature. You will have a series of tests, unit tests in the class during the course of our preparation, and you will have sectional and comprehensive tests subsequently. And handholding and mentoring of as a student for you will be even at the excuse me, my mentoring and handholding will be beyond the batch. And till the time you clear the exam, you can be assured of my support to you and our handholding to you. So that's what I would like to share with you. And please go ahead and ask me any questions you may have, and it will be a pleasure to answer them. And this is my email ID, kartik.anthro@gmail.com. If you have any questions that are still unanswered at the end of today's session, feel free to mail me, and I will surely answer you. And some of the Q&As are also part and parcel of my blog, kartik.guru. You can also refer to it. And moreover, in the comment section, there will be a registration form, and that you can fill up in order to pursue the further steps in this particular subject. And please go ahead and ask me any questions, and I will answer them for you.
I hope this session was as amazing as we promised, and definitely we are going to take questions of students here. I'll be asking the questions on students' behalf, sir.
Sure.
So, am I allowed to do that?
Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. With your permission, sir. So, most common question that we'll hear today: why anthropology? Why it's so popular among the students? Like, why is it such a favorite subject among the students?
Um, well, when I passed out of University of Hyderabad in 1992, many people used to wonder what was I doing with a subject that was little known in the academic circles. But over a period of time, I realized that anthropology became so popular in India, especially because of UPSC. I think almost every third aspirant in India chooses anthropology, and I'm not exaggerating when I'm saying this, is mainly because anthropology as a discipline is a blend of almost all the sciences. We have life sciences, we have humanities, we have social sciences. There's a little bit of geography, geology, genetics. And of course, in archaeology, when we are doing some dating techniques, there's a little bit of physics and chemistry too, and of course statistics and whatnot. And this discipline, anthropology, is very agnostic or is unrelated to your academic background. Students, irrespective of their academic backgrounds, choose anthropology because they can immediately settle down in this discipline within 1 week of starting the preparation. Is because, as I told you, the subject and the object of study in anthropology is ourselves. So we are not discussing anything that is alien to us. It's just that we are only packaging it in a very much more academic manner. But this is a discipline that makes a student very comfortable and makes people. I mean, people find it very familiar right from the day one, is because of the nature of the discipline. And number two, of course, the brass tacks. It has been a very rewarding optional subject. People have been scoring very well. In fact, many of the toppers every year invariably have anthropology as their optional, and that makes it very popular and makes it very friendly. I hope I've
I
answered that
totally.
question, Pooja.
Yes, sir, definitely. So I totally agree with you. So one more thing, as we discuss the domains of this subject, so the question is, how can we deal with the physical anthropology? How to deal with physical anthropology?
Physical anthropology, many people have this kind of apprehension that there's a lot of biology or genetics in it and they can't do it. That's actually not correct. The level of biology you require to master physical anthropology is almost on par with the amount of biology you need to know for you to clear prelims, and in fact even less than that. And if you look at the nature of the syllabus and also our approach in Vajiram and Ravi, is that we go with the assumption that the students are absolutely unaware of the basic concepts in biology. We start with the basics. We start with the cell division, something we must have studied in sixth and seventh standards. And
Yes.
one of the reasons why anthropology is much sought after is because of its scoring, and the reason why it is scoring is because of the way in which answers can be written in physical anthropology. Students can get 100% marks if their answers are correct, and illustrations. And I must have trained thousands of engineering students and students with social science and management backgrounds. And all of them were able to understand and excel in this discipline is mainly because of the simplicity with which the answers can be written, and very simple language, very basic language is required in order to write the answers in anthropology. So, physical anthropology should not be a problem. In fact, it is one of the areas, one of the sections in anthropology that, in fact, made this discipline very popular.
So we are hearing all the plus points of choosing anthropology as an optional. So one more thing, so as we are like aware that case studies are involved in this optional subject. So how can we use the case studies to enhance our answer writing?
See, this is one thing that I would like to clarify to all the aspirants who are taking anthropology. A case study approach or the case study method is one of the hallmarks of anthropological research. So, whatever we do it very intensively. You know, I mean, case study is actually called social microscope method. So, whatever we discuss it threadbare. We look at it as though we are looking at it through a microscope. And case studies are normally given in the various topics as examples to support the concept or the theory or the proposition that you're making in your answers. The case study should not be the answer itself, whereas the case study should be given to support your answer. Whatever that you may be claiming or whatever you're trying to establish should be supported by an example. Like, for example, when you're discussing, let us say, a tribal problem like undernourishment or malnutrition in tribal areas. So, there may be a case study or two that can actually be used to support what you have just claimed in your answer. So, case studies should be an integral part of your preparation, and they should be used wherever they are applicable. But the case study itself should not be an answer. And this is one of the myths that I would like to dispel through this medium, that I see many aspirants, obsessing over collecting case studies. That's not required. You need to be thorough with the concept, the method, the approach, and the theory, and use the case studies that can be relevant wherever required. And you don't have to search for it. It's our job as faculty to use them and provide them to you time and again. And even long after our coaching is over, they continue to have access to our digital handouts, which will be having emerging and new case studies and any current events that are happening in the world of anthropology.
So this was definitely a myth buster. One another myth I would like to share here. Students think that anthropology optional has a very concise syllabus. That's the reason like most of the students first actually choose it. So what is the actual reason that students should opt anthropology? Is the syllabus actually concise or dynamic?
It is both concise and dynamic. In a concise, in a sense that, see, there is a level playing field amongst all the optionals. I can't say that one optional is having more syllabus and another one is having a lesser syllabus. You know, there is a level playing field, irrespective of the optional you choose. The effort that goes into it is the same. But at the
Absolutely.
end of the day, when you choose an optional, you need to ask yourself whether are you willing to spend the next 1 year or so with this subject? Is this subject going to appeal to you? Will you find it amenable, understandable, easy to negotiate with? And is it scoring? What has been its history in terms of marks and success rates? And will this optional help me in reducing my time and effort in general studies and other papers? Will it add value to my preparation in other domains? So, given all these factors, anthropology ticks all the check boxes. I mean, you can tick all the check boxes, and it's concise because the syllabus is very specific. It looks pretty elaborate in the Gazette notification because you see that every topic, subtopic, and subtopic also has been mentioned in the syllabus. So there's no shocker. You know what to study, and moreover, you will also know what kind of questions have been asked in the past. So you can be very well prepared even before entering the exam hall. And at the same time, it is also dynamic in a sense. Not every area is dynamic, but there are certain areas, like for example, new discoveries happen across the world, especially in the domains of human fossils, or in the context of Indian anthropology. Certain concepts that we study may also be brought into judicial scrutiny. So the Supreme Court and the High Court or the Constitutional Court judgments may have a relevance to a topic that we are looking at in anthropology syllabus. Or when you are looking at certain policies that the government of India is taking, may have a relevance to our syllabus. So in that way, you should be able to relate what you study in anthropology to the events happening around you, and that will naturally come to you. You don't have to deliberately sit and prepare. As I was telling you, the way you consume news will change. The way you look at the world around you will change once you sit through the anthropology classes. So in that way, it's both concise as well as dynamic.
So
So
one
that's
more
what it
thing,
is.
that's a
Yeah.
yeah, it's a very general question. Like good quality resources available for this optional subject, like are they available easily?
Unfortunately, that is one major challenges that anthropology has. Most of the material that's available in the market is not made keeping this particular exam in mind. They are very humongous textbooks. Like just for the theories of anthropology, you may have 3 or 4 books to refer to, or a simple concept like Sanskritization may have multiple sources available. So I would advise students, if they are joining us, they don't have to run around and search for material. We'll give everything that is required for the purpose of this examination and much more. And we provide them with the printed study material. And over and above that, there is a lot of value addition material that will be provided to the students, both in the class as well as through the digital handouts. And they will be, as I told you, long after the batch is over, also they keep having access to this material. So getting material that is tailor made for the purpose of this exam is the biggest challenge. It is something that our students don't have to face, is because that's our job to make sure that they get everything on a ready made platter. So nothing to worry about that.
Yeah, so definitely it could be a big challenge, but if you join us, that will not be a challenge at all because we'll be
Absolutely.
providing all the good quality resources for the optional.
Absolutely. I
Now,
need to add one more thing here.
yeah, sure, sir.
What's important for this exam is not what to read. I think an aspirant should know what not to read.
Exactly.
you know
Yeah,
because the amount of time that you need to spend should be equitable. It should help in all the papers, in all the subjects, because anthropology is 2 papers in this exam, and there is also general studies, general essay, ethics that they have to prepare. So your preparation should be absolutely perfect and precise, and you shouldn't go
definitely.
on amassing information with which has very little relevance at the end of the day. So that is where an aspirant has to access the information that's already collected and collated for the purpose of this exam.
Definitely. So choosing right is the most important thing. So one more question. This must be the question of every student I know. What is the tip and tricks that one should follow to make the answer more scoreable, more interesting, and to ace this examination?
Tips and tricks is, I would advise the students to read. I mean, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Every day a student has to prepare for all the papers. Many of the students, they study one topic, one subject at the cost of the other. It should be balanced. So every day pick up a topic from each of the subjects, whether it's general studies or ethics, and anthropology. And anthropology, there are certain, a majority of anthropology is static, conceptual. So those static areas should be mastered first. And then once, the students get into the preparation mode for prelims, they can give anthropology a break and pick up the dynamic and the factual areas after the prelims and revise them. And most importantly, like for any other subject, there has to be a continuous practice of writing. End of the day, you have to prove your worth in this examination through your answers. So it doesn't matter what books you have read, it doesn't matter how much time you have spent, but all it matters are those 200 and 250 words that are required in order to, convince the examiner that you deserve to be in the list. So practice and practice is the most important thing, and continuous revision.
So one last question, but the most important one. So how should the aspirant know that anthropology is the one, their subject, that this is the one subject they need to choose? It is their subject.
Well, I would advise them to go through the syllabus. I would advise them to also go through the other distinguished faculty, my colleagues, their webinars about the subjects. Sit, go through the previous year question papers, and make sure that they know the depth of the water before they take a plunge into it. And when you look at the syllabus, you will realize that much of it is something that you are already aware of. Go through some material is already available in our own YouTube channel and others, and go through certain topics and see if they like the subject. And that's the first and the foremost thing I think before choosing an optional, because you will be literally living day in and day out with the subject, and you should be able to master this subject in no time, because something that we have taken a semester to understand, you need to learn that in a span of 1 month or even 1 week for the purpose of this examination. So develop that aptitude, develop that liking towards the subject, and then take it. And at the end of the day, the truth of the pudding lies in its taste. So look at the previous the performance of the discipline. Also look at the availability of the resources, the amount of time you have, and whether you will be able to engage with this discipline or not. And that's a simple way to answer the question.
I hope we were able to answer all of your queries. And for those who have made this confident decision of choosing anthropology as their optional subject, uh, we are going to share one detail with you. Our anthropology optional program is going to start from 20th of June, and the duration for this course will be 24 weeks. The class timings would be 7:30 to 10 a.m. Now, one important thing, for those who are interested in this program, make sure you do register from the link that is provided in the comment section. I hope the guidelines are clear. So if you're interested, you're confident enough to choose your optional now, make sure you register from the link below. Do we have something here?
Do we have any live questions, Pooja, that we can answer?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We do have them.
Yeah,
Uh, can we share that on the screen? All right. So I'll be asking the questions.
yeah.
Okay, what is the schooling trend in anthropology? All right, a student named Aman Maheshwari is asking, what is the scoring trend in anthropology in last 5 to 7 years? So,
Uh, One of my students, I think, I scored 357 last year. And there's virtually no limit to how much you can score. And anthropology has been one of the sheet anchors for many student success. So as I told you, very balanced preparation and precise answers and illustrations, and even writing the answers in I mean, using strategies like illustrations, flowcharts can really help them score very well. And absolutely, It's a very scoring discipline, and this is the uniqueness of anthropology. Despite the fact that many people consider it to be a social science subject, the scores are not on par with the rest of the core social science or humanities discipline. You can score much more, is mainly because of the nature of the discipline itself. And 357, I think, is the highest. I think it is one of the highest scores in anthropology paper last year in India. So that's the level of scoring.
So one more thing, students are asking if we will be providing the study materials. Yes,
Of
we
course.
made that clear earlier also, so we'll help
Yes,
you out.
let me reiterate it. We will be providing whatever study material that you may require for this examination. You will have not only the printed study material, which runs into 3 volumes, which are textbooks in anthropology that evolve every year, and over and above that, you will have class notes. You will also have handouts that will be given to you as a part of your through the student portal, and you will have access to enormous information, nothing to worry about. And they don't have to search for and depend on any other resource if they happen to be our students.
So one more thing, a student here, Kamlesh Dhande is asking, sir, only you alone will be taking the subject or group of faculties?
Kamlesh, I will be handling almost 85% of the syllabus, and my colleague, Mr. Vinoy Krishna, he will be handling certain parts of physical anthropology, especially the biology and the genetics part of it. Primatology and human evolution will be dealt by me, and the rest of the physical anthropology, like growth and development, biology, human genetics, and the biotechnology aspects, will be dealt by my colleague, Mr. Vinoy Krishna. So we both together will be teaching the subject to you.
Sir, a student of ours, Nikhil Chauhan, is asking, sir, for 2026, when should I start preparing for optional subject?
2026. It all depends on the your schedule. It all depends on what you are currently doing. If you are planning to take the exam in 2026, I'm assuming you are in your undergrad. Let's assume you're in your third year. So you can very well take the subject anytime you're comfortable with, if the timings permit you, is because you will have the advantage of revising multiple times before the actual exam. And you can start focusing on your general studies, a little later. So there's nothing wrong in starting early, and you can there will be a little bit of dynamic current aspects which you can always catch up with just before your exam. But otherwise, most of the conceptual and scientific theoretical areas can be completed whenever you want. So you can start either now or you can start early 2025. That should not be a problem.
Sir, Hema Spandana is asking, ma'am, I'm from MSc Mathematics background. Can I choose anthropology as optional and score well?
Absolutely. In fact, Hema Spandana, I my classroom is a rich motley group of people with all academic backgrounds: engineering, commerce, life sciences, medical doctors, dentists, mathematics. In fact, I always ask students with mathematics and statistics background why they choose anthropology. Is because they consider that anthropology is going to provide them with that much needed grounding in social sciences that is required for their general studies and general essay. So, anthropology is like a discipline that is laying the foundation for your entire UPSC preparation. And that's what makes people take this discipline. The sheer scope of the discipline is something that makes it very attractive, because general studies has almost, see, most of the areas in general studies are multidisciplinary. That means they don't strictly fit into a jacket of a particular discipline, they overlap. In fact, there's no pure economics and pure politics. It's all political economy. There is not pure geography and pure history. There is histogeography. And this kind of an interdisciplinary, holistic perspective is what we follow in anthropology. And that's what actually gives the students that kind of the depth that is required to look at the things, which is what this exam demands. And that's the reason why students, irrespective of their academic background, choose this subject. And you are very welcome to take anthropology. Now, you're not going to escape anthropology by not taking it, because most of these concepts anyway have to be dealt either through your essay or general studies.
So the voice,
Yeah, am I audible?
yeah, so you're audible.
Yeah,
So Dr. Sahana is asking, study materials for online students also? Yes,
absolutely.
Sahana.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Dr. Sahana. In fact, we don't distinguish between online and offline student. You're as much a part of my class as any other student sitting right in front of me. And our live sessions and online sessions are interactive, they are immersive, and we communicate in real time. And even if you are catching up with the class, even after the class timings are over, you will have access to ask questions anytime, either through the mail or the student portal. And we will dispatch you the printed study material immediately after you enroll and the classes begin. So you will have access to every piece of information, and the same study material will be sent to your registered address when you enroll in our online classes also.
So there's a very good doubt upcoming. Anamika Shrestha, the
Okay.
voice is, say yes, sir. May I, sir?
Yes, please. I can hear you.
Yeah. Anamika Shrestha is asking, Sir, how much time does it take to complete the whole syllabus? In recent years, anthropology is taken up by many successful candidates. It's been said that it's in the critical eye of UPSC. Why so?
There's nothing like critical eye of UPSC. As I told you, there's a level playing field, and there are scores of students who take all optional subjects. So there's nothing like one particular optional is preferred to the other optional. Absolutely not. Please don't believe in all those rumors. They are only myths, and there's a level playing field. As far as the preparation is concerned, it's a continuous process. Our classes will be around 5.5 to 6 months, and after that, it is left to you how much time you can allocate to anthropology every day. But remember one thing: when you are in the classroom, when you are immersing yourself in the classroom, taking the test regularly, you are more or less exam ready immediately after the batch is completed. You need to master the skills of answer writing while the classes are going on. Most of the students try to postpone it after the batch gets over. But I would always advise students to start practicing answer writing from day one, so that by the time we complete the syllabus, you're almost exam ready. And you should not take more time than any other optional. So normally, once the syllabus is completed, the rest of the time is only in trying to practice answer writing and improve on your skills. So that's how much time usually any subject will take.
So Shubham Patil is asking, at what branch is this batch starting?
What branch?
At what, yeah, at which branch is this batch starting?
Ours is a hybrid classes, Shubham. So ours will be my offline live classes will be in New Delhi, and students from all over the world can join the online sessions. And the batch timings and the rest of the details, I'm sure, are the part of the website. I'm sure. I think Pooja will also provide you with the necessary link at the end of the session that you can follow through.
Sure, sir. The batch timings, I'll make it clear right away. 7:30 a.m. to 10:30, there'll be the class timings. All right.
7:30 a.m. to 10.
Yes, sir. Sir, student named Nikhil Chauhan is asking that currently doing job. So how should they prepare?
Mr. Chauhan, I have had and I still have many students who are working. In fact, I have had a couple of students who were able to manage both their work and preparation and also succeeded in this examination. So, and we have a very unique offering for people like you. In case the one, of course, the class timings are 7:30 a.m. to 10. I'm sure if you can attend the classes online or offline, you will be ready to go for your work at the end of the class. Even if you can't, our lectures are available to the students for a couple of days after the live session is over. So they can always catch up with the live session, and they can join the live session on weekends or whenever they have an holiday. And they can continue to have a contact with the faculty through the email or through the student portal for whatever questions and doubts that they may have. So it should not be a problem. And yeah, there are many aspirants who take the task of preparing for civil services while working, and you may probably need to put in a little more extra effort than the others, but it is not an impossible task, Mr. Chauhan. I'm sure you can achieve it.
So Monica is asking, sir, there is a gossip that optional will be removed in 2026 and other subjects will be replaced. What would you tell about it, sir?
Well, you yourself said it's a gossip, so I wouldn't know how much of truth that is there in that. These kind of rumors keep cropping up almost every year, and the notification for 2025 is already in place. We know what the exam is. The optional is intact, and if you are planning to take this exam, I would advise you to straight away start preparing and let everything else I mean, leave everything else aside. And as I told you, anthropology is a kind of a discipline that will prepare you not only for the optional paper, it's going to change your personality altogether. The way you interpret information, the way you consume this information and present the facts is completely different. So it should not bother you much about whether the optional subject will be there in the future. 2026 is a long time off. So I don't think you should worry about it.
So Pranav Pandey is asking, is it advisable to join coaching for GS and optional simultaneously considering 6 hours of classes daily?
Uh, there are many students who do that, Pranav. And it would also give you a kind of the necessary training for that kind of the grit and the hard work one requires. And the greatest advantage when you do both of them together is that you're done with your classroom coaching at one go, so that you can dedicate the rest of the time exclusively for your preparation, answer writing, and attempting the mock tests. And that's the greatest advantage you will get. So you will be left with a lot of surplus time if you're spending sufficient time in the classroom with us. And don't forget that when you're sitting in the classroom, you're finishing one revision with us, and we are discussing and debating these concepts threadbare and reflecting on them. And all this will enormously help you tomorrow after the coaching is over, when you're revising the subjects. And trust me, you pick up any book randomly on anthropology or any other general studies subject anywhere in the world at any time and open a page randomly. I'm sure it makes sense to you. You will understand what's being written there. So that's the kind of intensive guidance that you will be getting from us. So I would advise you to go through it if you think you can afford to spend that kind of time, and you are only full time preoccupied with civil service preparation. It's good to finish GS and the optional in one go, and the rest of the time can be dedicated purely to honing your skills and answer writing.
So Shreyansh Upadhyay is asking, is online as effective as studying offline? I think he must be asking.
Indeed.
Will be able to connect with sir and resolve our doubts being an online student?
Indeed, indeed. And in fact, uh, we are on real-time communication. We use very sophisticated technologies, in fact, and I will be looking at you, you will be looking at me, and all your questions will be answered by me. And no, you will not leave the class unless your questions are answered. That I can assure you. And they are as I was mentioning earlier, they are as interactive and as immersive as offline. So online is the new norm, a new normal for many students, and it's also a great advantage to those who can't actually shift to other places. So that's what it is. So in interactive sessions, you can see me live, and I can see you live, and I can see your questions live. This is much more interactive than what we are doing now, because this is a different platform, whereas there we have a direct face-to-face contact.
So definitely, sir, online is the new normal. So Hema is asking again, suggest any material to develop basics.
Hema, I would, in case you are planning to join our classes, I don't advise you to spend your money on any resource. One of the things, as I told you, much of the so-called textbooks that are available in the market are not written keeping this exam in mind. They are general reading books of anthropology, especially written by Western scholars. I would advise you to pick up any kind of a basic online resource like Introduction to Anthropology and go through any of those online resources temporarily. But otherwise, everything else would be provided by us. And for introduction to anthropology, you just have to get into any of the online open university anthropology resource and read the introductory topic to know about what is anthropology and what are the basic approaches of anthropology and in what way is it distinct and unique. But if you still want to understand anthropology a little more, I would say in depth, then I would suggest you to pick up Introduction to Anthropology by Ember and Peregrine. That's one book that you can, it's worth it. As I think it was Francis Bacon who said, if a book is worth reading, it's worth buying. So I would think that Ember and Ember is one resource you can always have. You can go through it. It has very interesting photographs and illustrations. And on my blog, there are some basic reading books I have mentioned. Please don't buy. They are not for the students who are joining our classes. These are for those who probably want to do it on their own. So you don't need to invest in anything.
So Vineet Kumar Shah is asking, after class, how many hours self-study is needed?
I would, when you are in the classroom and when you see, we have regular tests. So once we finish a set of topics, you will have a test in it. So as long as you are able to revise your topics for the purpose of the test, that's enough. And later on, you can catch up with that particular chapter later on. But I would advise you, you shouldn't require more than 45 minutes to 1 hour to quickly revise what we have already discussed in the class. And I'm not exaggerating. That's amount of time that is required, because in my classes, our classes, we will go in a particular way. We don't follow the order in which the syllabus is written. The syllabus has many redundancies. It is organized in a very haphazard way in certain places. So we follow a particular methodology that has been tested and proven over almost 3 decades, and follow that particular pattern of learning, that particular direction of learning. And you don't have to spend more than 1 hour a day, I would say, after the class in order to catch up with whatever we have discussed. In fact, 1 hour is also on a higher side. But quickly going through the class notes and reading that relevant area in the printed study material or the handout, and you can blend the class notes with the printed material and prepare your own notes. You won't take more than an hour every day. So if you are able to catch up with me, if you're going along with me and revising the topics before coming to the class next day, you will be finishing the syllabus along with me. and you will be more or less exam ready in 3 months after the 3 or 4 months after the batch is completed, and you should be able to write answers in our mock tests.
So Purushottam is asking, is there need much to learn in Enthro, like rote learning?
Some areas in every optional subject, Mr. Purushottam, will be factual. So, rote learning, in a sense, if you are looking at something like, let us say, certain archaeological data, like Paleolithic or Mesolithic, the chronologies is what you need to remember. The general characteristics is something that you need to remember. There's very little that will change in those areas. And these are the factual areas I normally advise students to keep at the fag end, just before your mains, is because these things are static, they are fact ridden, and there are very few topics that are rote memory. Much of it is conceptual clarity. Clarity of thought, the power of expression, and the range of application. These are the three mantras for civil services, whether it's your general studies or the subject. I'm repeating: clarity of thought, your power of expression, and the range of application. And all these, when you combine them, I'm sure you will be able to present your answers in a fantastic way. Some areas, maybe about 10%, will be rote memory, but we have no choice. That's what is there in almost all the disciplines, irrespective of the optional you choose or even general studies for that reason.
So Dinesh Kumar is asking, as a fresher, is there any prerequisite topics required to cover for starting preparation for anthropology?
Absolutely nothing. We start with the spelling of anthropology on day one, and that's how your syllabus also is made. And as I told you, most of us have left either life sciences or social sciences in 10th standard, and the bare minimum, the basic grounding that you require to understanding anthropology is something that we will discuss in our class itself. I mean, you absolutely don't have to have any kind of a background knowledge. We'll do everything in our classroom. As I told you, our discussions will start from the very basics all the way to the postgraduate level, and you'll become a master of anthropology in no time. And trust me, I'm not exaggerating when I'm telling you this, is because you have been an anthropologist all your life. It's just that you don't realize it. But once you come into the class and participate in the discussions, you will realize that there's so much that you already know. It's just that it hasn't been packaged as anthropology to you.
So Sahil is a little confused between sociology and anthropology. He's asking which one is the best optional.
Sahil, I'm not in a good place to answer your question. Professor Mohapatra, a very renowned sociologist, is our faculty, and he has given a webinar recently. Do go through that webinar, go through the syllabus of sociology, look at the previous year questions, also look at anthropology, look at the PYQs, look at the scoring patterns, and then take a call and then decide. But if you ask me, I'll always tell you that anthropology is the best.
So we have so many doubts. So will there be batches starting post prelims? Definitely,
Uh,
Vikram.
we are starting, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are starting from 20th of June. It is around prelims, sir. We are
Yes,
starting a
16th
batch
is
from
the
20th of
prelims,
June.
and 20th June we are starting our batch.
Yes, sir. Uh, so one question again is here. I'm having difficulty. Just give me a minute, sir.
Sure.
So those who are facing time clash issues, what should they do
Uh,
for the
People
like
normally,
GS batches?
if they are with us, if they are in our institution, we can
Yes,
always
sir.
reallocate them to a batch when where it doesn't clash with your optional. So you can always approach our admin and our academic department, and they will do the needful. That's not an issue at all. And
And
our online classes have the recordings also, right? So every class has a recording which is available for a couple of days, so they can always catch up in case they miss it.
so I hope we were successful in like answering all of the questions here, this for the students who have attended us, the webinar. And I hope we'll be back again with such fruitful, amazing sessions. Till then, I'll ask Sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for being with us today. It was great to have
Thank
you
you.
with us. Thank you so much, sir. We'll be back with
Thank you.
another sessions like this. And please make sure you register from the comment section below. Our counselors will get back to you for the queries you have in your mind. Please do get back to the registration form. Thank you so much.